Hi, and welcome to the Civil Rights Training, the Emergency Food Assistance Program TEFAP requirement for working in a kitchen to volunteer. The ERA Civil Rights Training requirements, at least one person from your agency staff must be trained. That is an hour physical year. Every person that is able to come in and volunteer must take this course. We at the center have to have a person who is trained. We train all of our staff as well. Civil Rights Training Agenda. It's the Civil Rights Coverage and Legal Authorities, definition of discrimination and protected spaces, areas of compliance, religious protections, customer service, conflict resolution, and there are some scenarios for you to look over. The civil rights legal authorities. The next three slides are places that talk about what civil rights are under the acts and how they are covered. So slides 4, 5, and 6, you feel free to look at those and see exactly what is covered. It's race, color, national origin, disability, sex, age, and they're all under the CFRs. You can look them up on your own leisure. What is discrimination? Discrimination is defined as different treatment which makes a distinction of one person or a group of persons from others, either intentionally by neglect or by actions or lack of action based on. There are 6 protected bases for TEFAP. Different treatment is based on one or more of the 6 protected bases, which is race, color, national origin, age, sex, or disability. In order to, under the insurance, to qualify for the federal financial assistance, the program application must be accompanied by a written assurance that the program or facility will be operated in compliance with the civil rights laws and implementing non-discrimination regulations. We have filed for all of these as we do our paperwork to be accepted by the food bank. Public notification. All FNS assistant programs must include the public notification. The elements of the notifications are programs availability. Inform the applicants, participants, potentially eligible persons of their program rights and responsibilities and the steps necessary to participate, and also complaint information. Advises applicants and participants at the service delivery point of their rights to file a complaint, how to file a complaint, and the complaint procedure. Non-discrimination statement. The statement is not required to be included on every page of the program website. At a minimum, the non-discrimination statement or a link to it must be included on the home page of the program information. We have all of our information hanging up as you come into the dining area on the wall to the right. The elements of a public notification is you make the program information available, you hang the "And Justice for All" poster, you inform potentially eligible persons and applicants and grassroots organizations or programs or changes in any programs. You include examples of people who are protected by the civil rights training and promotional material, and you make information about your program available in languages and formats to the clients that will be able to understand. We do have it posted, and the posters also in a Spanish language at our center. The non-discrimination statement, here is where you can look up the exact statement from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. In accordance with the federal civil rights law and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, civil rights regulations and policies, the USDA, its agency offices and employees and institutions participating in or administrating USDA programs are prohibited from discriminating based on race, color, national origin, sex, disability, age, or reprisal of retaliation for prior civil rights activities in any program or activity conducted or funded by the USDA. The non-discrimination also is presented there in Spanish as we have it on the wall as well, so that they would be able to read in a different language if is needed. The non-discrimination statement is the USDA non-discrimination statement, short versions of the NDS. These can be used in the specific circumstances only. Get permission from the MFB, which we have, and other languages are forthcoming. The And Justice for All poster. This is the poster that we have hanging up. It's from the AD 475A, which is the new required version for TEFAP. It reflects current non-discrimination statements and new graphics as well, so that everybody has it there. They can see what they are eligible to complain with. There's complaints of discrimination. Complaints shall be accepted and forwarded to the USDA. They must be filed within 180 days of an alleged act of discrimination. The complaints can be written, verbal, or anonymous. No forms are required. Complaints in any format are valid. Keep your own log of complaints on file. So we are to keep, if we get a complaint that comes in, we would keep the file. And confidentiality is extremely important and must be maintained. The process. Complaints should include, if possible, gather all of the information: the name, address, and telephone number of the complainant, the location and name of the organization, the nature of the incident or action, the names, titles, and business address of persons who may have knowledge of the discriminatory action, the date during the alleged discriminatory action occurred, and the basis for the alleged discrimination. This, too, also is the complaint process. You can look them up. This gives you the forms. If you would like to run them off at home or you want to see what they look like, you can go to either one of these. The civil rights training is done on an annual basis. You will be required to take this as you're considered a frontline staff when we're serving clients. It's done on an annual basis. So next year, at the time that you are taking your training now, you will be called in to do the training again. Volunteers must receive training appropriate to their roles and responsibilities. Different requirements for staff that work in a storeroom versus staff that works directly with clients. All staff, key staff, who should know all aspects of the civil rights training, volunteer and other employees are trained on parts as needed. Should receive training on all aspects of civil rights compliance, including effective public notification systems, non-discrimination statements, the complaint procedure, complaint review techniques, resolution of non-compliance, requirements of reasonable accommodation of persons with disability, requirements for language assistance, religious protections, customer service, and a conflict resolution. Who are persons with limited English proficiency, which is known as LEP? Individuals who do not speak English as their primary language and who have a limited ability to read, speak, write, or understand English. Can't see, can't hear, can't speak, can't read, can't write, speaks another language, or writes another language. LEP and Bilingual Requirements says that we have to take responsible steps to ensure meaningful access to their programs and activities by limited English proficient persons. We do, if you have a client that you are not able to understand, reach out to the staff that is there, because we do have bilingual employees that are able to help with that. Factors to consider in addressing the LEP is the number of portion of the LEP persons served, frequency in which LEP individuals come in contact with us, the nature and importance of the program, activity, or service provided by the program, and resources available to the recipient and cost. Here are the bilingual. You can use the census, the American Community Survey, the Migration Policy Institute's National Center on Immigrant Interrogation Policies. These are websites that you could use to help you or to look them up. Disability discrimination. What is the definition of disability? A person who has a physical or mental impairment which sustainably limits one or more major life activities, has a record of such an impairment, or is regarded as having such an impairment. Major life activity means functions such as caring for oneself, performing manual tasks, walking, seeing, hearing, speaking, breathing, learning, and working. Functions of the immune system: normal cell growth, digestive, bowel, bladder, neurological, brain, respiratory, circulation, cardiovascular, endocrine, and reproductive functions are a part of the AD Amendments Act of 2008. Visible and invisible disabilities. Here are some of the disability discrimination acts if you would like to look them up. Disability discrimination. There is also an obligation to ensure that members of the public are provided accommodations in order to access the program information, applications, and assistance, which is Braille, large print, and audio tape. Providing qualified sign language interpreters for persons with hearing disabilities may be necessary to effectively communicate with these applicants and participants. If you encounter any problems with anybody, please see the staff, as we will get the appropriate person to be able to assist and help if we are unable to. Here's the equal opportunity for religious organizations. 7 CFR Part 16 says ensures a level playing field for the participation of faith-based organizations and other community organizations in the USDA programs. The compliance review is part of a yearly sites monitoring. The FNS staff and state agency review subrecipients review local sites, and if there is a problem, we have to provide a written report. Compliance Part 2, there's 3 types of compliance reviews. There's a pre-award civil rights reviews, there's a routine post-award compliance reviews, and there are special compliance reviews. The pre-award is the state agency, subrecipient agency, and local sites must be in compliance with the civil rights requirements prior to approval for their financial assistance. The routine and post awards, the FNS and state agency must conduct routine compliance reviews as identified by the FNS Instructions 113.1 and program-specific regulation policies. Number 3 is your special compliance reviews. They may be scheduled or they may be unscheduled. To follow up on previous findings of noncompliance, to investigate reports of noncompliance by other agencies, media, or grassroots organizations, may be specific to an incident or policy, history of statistical unrepresentation of particular groups, and pattern of complaints of discrimination. The civil rights and noncompliance, a factual finding that any civil rights requirement, as provided by law, regulation, policy, instruction, or guidelines, is not being adhered to by a state agency. Steps must be taken immediately to obtain voluntary compliance. A finding's effective date is the date of notice to the reviewed entity. Here is a couple of scenarios that you can try for yourself. If there's a person in a wheelchair complains that the site where he was told to pick up his food package is not accessible to public transportation, what steps should be taken in a situation? How can this person be accommodated? If you would come to the staff, if they would be able to set up for another program, perhaps a program such as Meals on Wheels. A participant tries to speak with a volunteer at a distribution site in a language other than English, but the volunteer cannot understand the participant. The participant leaves without being served. How should that situation have been handled by the volunteer? You should be able to go to the staff member. If the staff member that is on duty doesn't know themselves, then they will contact the appropriate staff member that will be able to assist. A reviewer from the state visits a food distribution site and sees the "And Justice for All" poster displayed in the manager's office only, which is located in an area that is off-limit to program applicants and participants. Is this a civil rights violation? Why or why not? Yes, it is. It has to be displayed for all people to have. Here's the contact information for a regional director of civil rights if you have any questions. Religious protections. There's referrals. If a client wishes to receive food at a non-religious TEFAP site, they may request a referral to another TEFAP site. The notice of right to a referral is required to be posted. Make available to clients religious referral forms. Your site can ask MFB for a referral if we don't have it. Keep copies of the referrals. Clients also have the right to make civil rights complaints regarding these protections. You may not require clients to participate in religious activities. All TEFAP services to clients must be separated by location and or time from religious activities. If you would like to pray over the food before anybody comes into the building, you're welcome to do that. However, once a client enters the building, you are not allowed to ask them for prayer. You are allowed to set out your tracts or your flyers, but you are not allowed to answer questions for them as your service times or tell them that you will provide any transportation. We're not allowed to hang anything up that is of a religious belief because we have so many different variations of religions. Customer service. This is how we treat our clients when they come in. We treat others as you would want to be treated. Exceed your client's expectations. Be prepared, polite, patient. Avoid sarcasm. Be empathic. Treat all people equally. Be helpful. Try to anticipate your client's needs. Explain how things work. Don't wait for the people to ask. And smile when appropriate. Make people feel welcome. Have a written and posted policy for dealing with unacceptable behaviors and conflicts. In our dining area, we do have it posted where they are not to use their cell phones. Everyone is limited to a 20-minute period of eating. The cell phone, if it rings, they have to go in the hallway, but their time still counts. Just as a client coming in, when they're signed up from 5 o'clock to 5:20, if he comes in at 5:10, he still must leave at 5:20. You must remain calm, explain the situations, explain the rules, and let them know that you will get in trouble if you do anything that violates the rules. Don't be afraid to apologize. Don't feel you need to have the last word. Get help, especially if threats are made of violence is possible. Use alternative dispute resolution techniques, which you can find at the listed website. Safe food handling. Before you come to work in the kitchen, you must have your temperature checked and have had the training. If you haven't completed the paperwork for training, you will not be allowed into the kitchen to volunteer until it's completed. You must wear proper attire when in the kitchen. It consists of gloves that fit properly, not too tight or too loose, hairnets to cover all hair unless pulled up or a hat is worn, apron to protect your clothing. Hand washing must take place before placing gloves on. Duration must be 20 seconds or singing the happy birthday song twice. You must wash in between your fingers and your nails along with halfway up your forearm. All foods must be prepared safely within a date range of cooking, preparing, and delivering to the client. Cleaning food prep surfaces and sanitizing are essential. Staff will be available for assistance. Once you enter the center to volunteer or the first visit, you will be given a quick tour of the equipment used in the kitchen. No more than 5 people are allowed in the kitchen at a time. We thank you for taking the time to volunteer and come out and work with us. We appreciate everything you do.